Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to my tiny retirement. I'm Christine. I want to take a second before we get into the video that if you have not already done so, please take a second to click that subscribe button. And if you don't do it right now, don't worry. There'll be another opportunity at the end for you to click subscribe. And when you do, there will be a notify button that pops up, a little bell. That bell allows you to be notified when you click notify all. It will allow you to be notified of all of the videos that we put up. Today is part of excuse me, having allergy seasons. I don't care what the groundhog says. When my allergies act up, spring is coming, and it's coming soon. Anyway, today we're going to continue talking about the reasons that maybe you should be thinking about going tiny. Today we're at the third reason. We've already talked about quality of life for financial independence, financial freedom, financial independence. If you have any questions on those, please ask me. Leave a comment below because I do read the comments. I may not always have time to go in and respond, but I definitely read them. And if you ask a question, I will respond. So today is reason number 3, or 3, if you will. How do I do this? So I get 3. Okay, today is reason number 3. Choosing to go tiny as a way of fulfilling goals. Are you guys too close to me? Are you too close to me? Does that make you uncomfortable? All right, so I'll back you up a little bit. Of fulfilling goals. Now, we all have our own goals in life, things that we want to accomplish. And I'm going to start with what makes sense in my head. I'm thinking young people are out of high school right now, and you'll get my reasoning by the time I'm done. Folks out of high school who are looking to go into college. It is expensive to go to college, live in a dorm, rent an apartment, anything to support yourself. If your parents are not well off, let's just say, and can close their eyes and say, yes, junior, or juniorette, you are going to go to college, to Harvard, Yale, Stanford, no problem. What if it's even going to be a struggle for you to just go to in-state university or community college? What about building a tiny house for yourself when you're in high school? Be a good school project. It'd be something fun. I know I would have loved to do this with my kids. Build a tiny house. It would have been a great family project. And have a place to live while you go to college. Rent-free. Well, maybe rent-free. You may have to pay lot rent or pay somebody rent or something to put your camper, or your camper. I have camping on the brain. It's spring. So what about that? I know that if I had thought of this, I lived in a dorm for a bit, and it was expensive. I went to a private college back in the day. I ended up not even finishing back then, because it was like all of a sudden I'm like, I can't afford this. My parents are not wealthy. They live in a mobile home. They live in a mobile home on my grandparents' property. We were not wealthy. I was paying it myself. I would have loved to have had a fully self-contained tiny home where I didn't have to have roommates, because I ended up moving into an apartment, and I had roommates. It was a very small apartment with roommates, and I just I discovered very early on that I am not really a people person when it comes to my dwelling. And so I ended up with a teeny tiny little studio apartment just by myself. But I was still paying rent. I was working 2 jobs. I was doing odd jobs. This is way back when I discovered that I had some kind of performing art talent and wrote articles and got paid for it, worked my way through college. But I ended up not finishing because it was so discouraging. It's like, oh my gosh. I had to take fewer courses, which meant I was in college longer. And it was just like, by the end of it, I was like, I got into my 4th year of college, 3rd or 4th year, and I was still looking at 2 to 3 more years because of all of the financial stuff. So anyway, to accomplish a goal, you want to go through college. You want to do everything you can to ensure that you are successful in college. Maybe you, or at least for your kids, maybe not you, but maybe you have kids in high school. Maybe you want to think about going down this venue for them or helping them out, or, or if you're a high school kid, can you get some school credit for this? It sure seems like you could. If you have supportive parents, even if you don't have supportive parents, it's still possible. So there's one, if you want to accomplish that goal. What if you're in an apartment, say you're a little older, you're in the workforce, you want to own your own home. You're looking to get your first home. But holy moly, if you're like I was back then, and even Mitch, where are you going to come up with a deposit? 20% down? And I know that there are a lot of programs out there. I know there are a lot of programs that will help first-time homeowners. What if it's not enough? What if you're trying to be successful and start out on the right foot and you don't want a huge mortgage right off the bat? You're already paying student loans, most likely. What about moving into a tiny house for 4 or 5 years? Pay off those student loans. And then upgrade. Then there's the other aspect. What if, and I'll use us as an example again, what if you want to retire? What if you want to travel around? A tiny house on wheels, you could do that. You're portable. You have your home. You may, depending on the size of it, depending on what you do, you may have to hire a moving company, somebody that moves campers and tiny homes. We actually have a friend that does that for a living, and he gets paid well. And he loves it. He gets to travel. He gets to, see the country. But, so they're out there. You can have your tiny home moved for a pretty affordable rate. So what if you want to travel? You've already got the big house. You've already done all of that. You've done the big house. You've done the mortgage. You want to get out from under it. For us, having the big house, having the mortgage, was keeping us from retiring. We don't necessarily want to use our tiny house to travel around. We didn't, the tiny house on wheels factor was not something we were interested in. But the tiny house aspect of it, that interested us. We didn't need a lot of space to live. Even though we had mastiffs, I'll tell you, we had mastiffs and a cat. And at any given time, all 3 of those animals were within 2 feet of us. At any given time, we'd get up and go into the bathroom. And you guys with pets know what I'm talking about. They're all in there with you. We go to bed. They're all in the bedroom with us. We go in to take a shower. They're laying outside the shower. We sit and watch TV. The cat is behind us. The dogs were at our feet. Well, now we have Gerard, and he's all over us. And I mean all over us. Boing, 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 boing. So we used our tiny house to accomplish that goal. We wanted to retire. We have a camper. We have a tiny little camper. We're going to be taking that on the road. We want to be snowbirds. We want to maybe follow the seasons a little bit, and summer here. Although we're pretty content here. That was the plan right off. We thought, well, let's work on the house until winter and then we'll take off. Well, we're coming up on our third summer and we've yet to take off in the winter. We're pretty comfortable here and pretty happy. So that was our goal. And maybe it's yours. Maybe you just want to, maybe you just want to achieve a goal. Maybe you already have a house, but you want to save up to move to your dream location. Maybe you want to build your dream house. Buy a piece of land, put a tiny house on it, save up, build your house. And, a tiny house is a good way to accomplish a long-term goal. It's a really good way to accomplish a long-term goal. So, that's reason number 3. And I have a long list to go. So be on the lookout. Let me know. Tell me if you have any goals. I'd like to hear, the different reasons that someone would consider going tiny. Or have you gone tiny? That's always interesting to hear from other folks. What they did and why. It's always interesting to me. So leave me a comment. Let me know if you have any other suggestions, because some of my other viewers, not necessarily just subscribers. I have a lot of people who view that haven't necessarily subscribed yet. And if you haven't, if you're one of those, get on it. Because I know other folks are watching too and paying attention. And even maybe not necessarily for them, but for someone else. All right. So I'll be back either later today or tomorrow filming. You may not see it, but I'll be back with my next reason.